Learning Chinese in China is pretty easy to do. First of all, I want to say that learning Chinese in general is not so difficult. Once you break through some of the stereotypes and uh, barriers at the beginning, then you'll see that you'll start to make progress pretty quickly. You'll see the grammar is not too bad. The vocabulary is not very difficult to remember, and you'll start to read pretty quickly as well. So when you're living in China, there are many ways for you to learn Chinese. I know this might seem like a topic that is obvious. How could you not learn Chinese in China? I knew many foreigners in China who lived there for many years and hardly learned anything while they were there. And that's because they just stayed in their circle of English speaking friends, and also they just didn't care. They just didn't want to learn. And if that's the case, when people are speaking Chinese, they kind of block it from their mind, and they just never really learn it except for a few words. So you don't just learn it by being there. You learn a few phrases by being there, but to become fluent or reasonably fluent in conversation comes with study, practice, and active listening. So there are a few things that you can do to learn Chinese while you're in China. Uh, First of all, I would check with your company to see if, or your school, to see if they provide Chinese lessons for you. There are many companies and schools that do this. For one of my companies, it was online lessons, which was pretty convenient. There's a teacher, and you join the online classroom with some other people, and you go through the lesson and schedule at certain times every week. So this was very good for me. It was free, and one of the good things about taking classes is that you get feedback and you get a chance to practice. Chance to practice, though, you can find other ways to practice. Um, but getting the feedback from the teacher saying, yeah, you did this correct, but this you need to change a little bit, or this is how you do that. And also having someone there asking that you can ask questions to in the moment is helpful with having a teacher. Now, the downside of classes is maybe it costs money. Like I mentioned before, though, my company it was free, but uh, I would avoid paying high prices for classes. I don't think it's really necessary unless you know you're someone who, unless if you don't have a regular class all the time, and you're not going to study, well, then go ahead and take the class and go to that. Another way to learn Chinese while in China is through books. So there's a book called the HSK. There are 6 levels. HSK is really a test in Chinese to test your Chinese proficiency. These books are structured and geared toward taking that test. It's mainly for listening, reading, and a little bit of writing. There is a speaking version of it as well, but if you want to improve in reading, speaking, listening, I actually improved with my speaking, even though this test is mainly for writing, reading, and reading, writing, and what was the other one? And listening. Even though it's mainly for those, I improved with my speaking because my vocabulary just grew so much, my understanding of the grammar grew so much by taking the test. So that's another way is through books, especially the test, and that's the official test, the HSK, for proficiency for Mandarin. And another thing you can do is just make friends who don't speak English. Then that will force you to speak Chinese and try to use it wherever you go. If you go to the market, supermarket, the store, wherever, taxi, bus, make sure you use your Chinese wherever you go, and then you'll hear how the people respond. Don't worry about being wrong when you're speaking. Oh, my grammar's wrong, my vocabulary's wrong. Who cares? It doesn't really matter so much as long as you're moving toward the correct way. So if you never really say anything, then you never get the practice and you never get the feedback. Sometimes people who are not teachers, just random people, will give you feedback and tell you the right way to say it because they know you're trying. So just go ahead and do it then. If that's the case, that you're speaking with someone, just try. And also, if you go to the CCTV website, which is a Chinese TV website, they have a bunch of videos, a bunch of video series, different episodes, different shows for learning Chinese, and there are different levels. So if you're just starting out, intermediate, advanced, different levels. If you go to the CCTV website, there's a section for people to learn Chinese. And many of these videos are already on YouTube, put there by CCTV. So I think watching TV in Chinese, for me, is difficult. My progress was not so fast by watching TV. I kind of got distracted by just watching what was going on, and maybe I get one phrase out of a whole episode that I remember well. So for me, I prefer more talking with people, interacting with people, using the textbook that's geared toward listening, reading, and writing, and also the videos that CCTV website was very helpful for me. And there are some language exchange things out there that are free online. Be careful with those as well, because you don't know who the people are that you're talking to, but I found those to be helpful for me as well. So go ahead. Chinese is very learnable. In my 3.5 years of living in China, I got to about 1,000 words, and I know that because of the test that I took. So it's very learnable, and go ahead and give it a try. Don't be afraid. You will learn the reading and writing, speaking, listening, whatever. And you actually don't really need to write by hand so much, as long as you can type on the computer. And so much easier than writing by hand. You can type on the computer, you'll do really well. You can communicate with so many people in China. So give it a shot.